What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we need to take another look at those enchanted rare cards from Lorcana, the first chapter. The first Lorcana set is out now. It's out in wide release, it's out in game stores, it is out everywhere, and I know that stock is not always that easy to come across. For that, I can only apologize. I know it's not ideal, I know that a lot of people are struggling. I have not had the easiest time picking up everything that I want, frankly. But I've been following these enchanted rares and seeing what's happening to the prices of them. And basically what's happened is the prices are going up. And the prices are going up fairly significantly. And this is something you need to keep an eye on. Now, I told you the other day that it is a bad time to buy enchanted rares, because the hype is very high, but there's just not enough product out there. Now, obviously, since I told you that, we've had the wide release, there is more product out there, but that doesn't magically make it a fantastic time to buy these enchanted rares. I know some of you want the cards now. That's absolutely fine. Right now, you will be overpaying. Over time, stock is going to get better, the cards are going to be more out there, and the price of these are going to fall. Right now, that is not happening, so let's take a look at what is happening, and we might as well start off with Elsa. Elsa is the big card in the set, and it is behaving like the big card in the set. Right now, Elsa has jumped up to a near $700 card, which is absurd. Started off as a $400 card, went down to a $340 card, and is now up at $700. And here's the thing. It's not done. This is a card which has not finished going up, and I know that for certain because look at the recent solds on TCG Player. 750, 800, 750. So the stated market price of 680 on TCG Player right now is too low. It is actually kind of a bargain because this is only going to be going up as time goes by. Now, at some point, like I've said, it's going to start falling, but just remember that it is going to take a little bit of time. We're not there in terms of stock just being readily available. I'd love it if we were. It would be fantastic if it were. But right now, with people not being able to get as much stock as they want, we're seeing things like Elsa just absolutely jumping up to, well, frankly, ridiculous prices, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely ridiculous prices. Now, the one good thing is, we know this is going to go down. You know, take a look at Nami. Now, this is a one-piece card, sure, but I think this kind of shows us what we're dealing with here. Now, this is the alternate art Nami from Romance Dawn. This was like the big card from Romance Dawn. And what we see is it starts at 125, which is honestly kind of expensive. And then it ends up going up as high as 250, over 250. And then it comes down, and it comes down, and it comes down, and it goes as low as 140, and is now sitting at 160. It never became a ridiculously cheap card. It is the biggest card in the first super hype set. And Romance Dawn, when it came out, was sold out everywhere, just like the first chapter is for Lorcana. What we're seeing with Lorcana was exactly, and I mean exactly, what we saw when Romance Dawn launched for One Piece. And you've just seen the graph. Things got better. It's never going to be perfect. Elsa's never going to be a ridiculously cheap card. And I'm sorry if anybody out there is waiting for Elsa to become a $20 card as an Enchanted. It's not going to happen. But are we going to see it being significantly cheaper than it is now? Yes. Yes, we absolutely are, ladies and gentlemen. It is going to get quite a lot cheaper, which is lovely. But what's happening to the other enchanted rares? Are we seeing a similar kind of thing happening? Well, the second biggest one here is Mickey Mouse, and this is, of course, WAYWARD Sorcerer. There are two Mickeys, this is the big one. And honestly, we can say pretty much exactly what we said about Elsa. Started off at $200, that's not reasonable, but it's better. It's currently showing as a $320 card over on TCG Player, but you need to look at the recent solds here. This is not actually a $320 card. You are going to struggle to pick this up for $320. Because if you look at the recent solds, they're higher. The recent solds, we got one at 320, which is lovely, one at 330, and one at 370. So this isn't a card that you should be looking at and thinking, well, that's all right, this is going to be... No, it's going up, ladies and gentlemen. It's going up. Now, the one that I really want, mostly for my deck, honestly, is Belle. I have been on the record as saying that as far as I am concerned, Belle is the best card in the game. Mechanically speaking, the best card in the game. And we did actually see a fairly dramatic fall when it was released. It went from 260 down to 212, but it's now up to 290, and once again, you know, one of the recent solds is 370. Right now, and don't always believe the listings, like the listing for this at the moment is like 600 on TCG Player. Clearly that's ridiculous, ladies and gentlemen. Clearly that's absolutely ridiculous. But also, I don't think it's fair to say Belle is under $300 right now. Right now, I would peg Belle as a little bit higher, frankly. I don't think Belle is a $300 card. I mean, if we go and have a look at Belle over on eBay, because that is, you know, another pretty good place to go and have a look, and we have a look at these Enchanted Rares, there aren't many buy it nows, and the buy it nows tend to be a little bit silly. Like, if we have a look at these, you know, all in a row, there's two for around 220, but they've both got significant time remaining, so I don't think we can necessarily believe that. And then we got to buy it now for $700, but that's clearly somebody chancing it. So actually, neither of those, not the auctions or the buy it now, are giving us particularly good information. So let's go and have a look at the sold, what Belle is actually selling for. And we see a similar kind of thing. Yes, there are a couple of sales around about the 240 mark, which is lovely, but there's also a recent sold for 386. What is really relevant here is the fact that the two that went for around 240 were buy it nows. So people got a little bit of a bargain. Whereas the one that went for near $400, you'll notice that was bid up with 19 bids. And right now, that seems to be the way to get maximum value for your enchanted cards. And as much as this is a terrible time to buy, and it is a terrible time to buy, it's actually a really good time to try selling enchanted cards. Because it really is a good time to sell enchanted cards. And if you're putting them up for ridiculous prices like $700, people aren't biting. If you put them up way too cheap at $240, you're selling, but you're not really getting maximum value. Whereas if you put them up to bid, people are bidding them up all over the place. So, yeah, Belle, probably not a $300 card unless you're putting it up for buy it now and getting a little bit of a bargain. Tinkerbell is a card that I am a big fan of. Get it? I also really love the thing they're doing where they're kind of like, hey, Tinkerbell, what if she was massive? Makes me happy. And now this one has not gone quite as ridiculous as some of the others, but it started at 240, dropped down to 185, and it's now up at 255. But it's not really at 255. When I'm showing you these prices at the moment, and I'm telling you they're not necessarily to be trusted, I mean that very clearly. Because what we're seeing is these prices are not catching up to the recent solds quite quick enough. If we look at the recent solds for Tinkerbell, 310, 350, 390. So this is one of the most egregious in terms of the difference between the supposed market price and what's going on with recent sales, because the market price would have you believe this is a $255 card. There's nothing that's, you know, the recent sales aren't even within $50 of that. They are all significantly higher. Now, the good news is, at this point, it all starts to settle down a little bit. They're all really expensive, don't get me wrong, but they're at least are not quite as ridiculous as the ones at the top end. But even if we go down to the bottom end, like the cheapest enchanted rare is Genie. And even that one's starting to go silly. Like, that one was flicking around $120 for a little while, and yet now it's $175. But once again, you cannot look at the market price. You have to look at what the recent solds are doing here, and you'll notice that the recent solds are getting a bit silly. Because it's not close, frankly, ladies and gentlemen. It is like genuinely, legitimately not close. The market price is $175. The recent solds are $225, $215, over $250. Even ones like Genie are starting to spike in price. And I say even ones like Genie because these are supposed to be the bottom end. These are supposed to be the cheaper ones. Now, I do have one bit of good news for you. Kind of. Mickey Mouse Artful Rogue. But here's the thing. This graph is entirely misleading. And it's one of the things I like to bring with these videos is, let you know what's actually going on. Because on the one hand, we can look at this graph and go, wait, Mickey Mouse Artful Rogue, that has just plummeted in price. No, it hasn't. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. This graph is a complete lie. What happened was people were trying to sell it for $500 when it first launched, going, it's a Mickey card, of course it's going to be stupid expensive. And then people realized it was one of the least sought after of the Enchanted rares. It dropped down to $120. But you'll notice the market price is sitting there at $175. And the recent sales are $230. To be fair, $173. And then $320. Somebody paid $320 for this. So it looks like it has absolutely plummeted in price. It hasn't. And the last example I'm going to give you is Maui. Now, this is one of the ones, from a character standpoint, this is the one that I most want to pull. Big Maui fan. Watched a ridiculous amount of Maui with my kids. Maui is going to be my playmat of choice when I'm turning up to Lorcana tournaments. Love me some Maui. But even this one, this is one of the least sought after of the Enchanted rares. And it's gone from about $100 on release all the way up to $190. But the recent solds are $240, $295, $255. Not only have these spiked in price, and I think I've shown you quite clearly that they have, but they are still spiking in price. I've shown you with the price of these in terms of the recent solds. They're not doing it, ladies and gentlemen. They're not settling yet. These are still going up and up and up. Boo. Or yay, I suppose, if you're selling. But now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to hear from you guys. What do you think about these? Which of these Enchanted have you pulled? Which are the ones you'd want to pull? Let me know in the comment section. Go nuts. Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at LeWasi. That's where we talk about Lorcana and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCGradio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching WAYWARD Plays.